Right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar featuring Enbridge Gas. My name is Jacob Gorenkoff, and I am the Director of Programs and Strategic Initiatives for the Canadian Housing and Renewal Association. Before we get underway, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which I am currently on in Ottawa is the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. And as all of you are joining us today from many places, near and far, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. Before I introduce today's speaker, I'd like to give you a brief run through of the webinar technology and to launch a couple polls. So today's webinar is in real time. You should now be able to hear me via your computer speakers, headset, or through your telephone if you've chosen to dial in. As we are in webinar format, you're all muted. If you wish to ask questions, you may type them in the Q&A section on the webinar control panel at any time during the presentation. We will address as many questions as we can at the end of the webinar. Before I introduce you to our speaker today, I'd like to launch a series of polls. Please follow the on-screen prompts as each poll is launched, and once we are through all of the polls, I'll introduce our speaker. So I'm going to launch the first poll now. But if you could all wrap up your voting within the next 20 or so seconds, we'll get to the next poll. All right, thank you for voting in that poll. And now to the second one. Thanks for bearing with us. All right, and to our, and to our final poll, and then we'll get underway. Just another 30 seconds for those of you that haven't voted. Right. Thank you, everybody, for participating in those polls. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speaker today, Michael Afrouche, Advisor Energy Solutions for Enbridge Gas. Michael is going to be talking about Enbridge's affordable housing multi-unit program, and more specifically about how it can help reduce energy costs and improve your bottom line. Welcome, Michael. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Thank you for the introduction. And the polls actually were very interesting results from the polls. So I'm hoping to use them during my presentation as well. So hi, everyone. This is Michael Afrouche. I am Energy Advisor for Affordable Housing from Enbridge Gas. And I will be speaking today to you about our programs at Enbridge. So let me share my screen first. All right, see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So as I was saying, this presentation is about Enbridge Gas affordable housing programs. We're going to go through an overview of the project itself and the incentives that we do provide. So under Enbridge Gas affordable housing program, we have multi-residential saving by design, home winterproofing. Probably a lot of you know, but for those who do not know, other than affordable housing programs, we have other programs like commercial and residential industrial programs. So if by any chance you want to look at those programs, or you know somebody that does not qualify for the affordable housing and want to look at those programs, you can visit our website, or you can always reach out to myself or our other advisors for further details. Affordable housing programs usually provide more incentives than the regular incentives, just because they are low-income assisted government programs and would like to assist for the capital projects further. The incentives are usually lucrative and more than the commercial buildings by a good amount. So under the affordable housing programs, we have three sections. We have multi-residential, saving by design, and home winterproofing. The multi-residential one is for the retrofits. These are the buildings that you are going to do some capital improvement, change your boilers, make up air units, so on and so forth, or installation, control projects, and more. Saving by design are for the new construction projects, where we get involved from the beginning at the design stage to make sure that we integrate the energy efficient measures at the beginning and at the design phase. And home winterproofing are for, this is a free provided by Enbridge. We do pre and post audits for the single family homeowners. So let's get into the multi-residential program. So this program is for social and non-for-profit housing providers, as well as the private market rate buildings. Under this program, we provide building energy audits, as well as the incentives for the capital improvements. There is custom incentive and prescriptive and in-suite measures that I'll go through them in detail in the next slides. The maximum incentive that we provide for this program is $200,000 and up to a maximum of 50% of the project's cost. Usually the incentive is less than the 50% of project cost, but I have many instances. I've had examples that the incentives have been so good that it's actually more than 50% of the project cost. So we had to cap it to 50% of the project cost. That goes to show how lucrative these programs could be. The social housing providers could be social and assisted housing, non-for-profits and co-ops, shelters, and supportive housing. For the private market rate, you have to meet the eligibility criteria. So for example, in Toronto, we have maps that if you fall within those maps, you do qualify automatically for our programs. But for those ones that do not fall in those maps, we usually typically assess the rent roll. So we get a rent roll for all your units from you or the clients, and we'll look at the CMHC standards and make sure that at least 50% of the units in that building fall below the CMHC standards, rent standards, and depending on whether it's a studio flat, or 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, etc. So in order for the building to be qualified as a multi-residential building itself, it has to fall under the Part 3 under Ontario Building Code, which is buildings with more than 600 square meters or over 3-story buildings. Yeah, so sometimes the eligibility criteria could be a bit tricky. So as mentioned, for all of the things that I mentioned, the best way to, these are just an information for you, but always the best way to know more about these programs and more about the eligibility criteria is to reach out to ourselves as the energy advisors, and we'll be happy to assist you because it could have a lot of details and nuances for each building. So under multi-residential programs for the audits, we provide up to $8,000 for the energy audits. Now these audits are limited, so we have a limited budget for the offer at the beginning of the year, and it's very common that we run out of the budget by 4 months. 4 months, for example, right now we have run out of budget for Legacy Enbridge, which is the GTA. We still have budget for Legacy Union, which is areas outside the GTA mostly, but I think we're also running out of budget for that one as well. The purpose of this budget is to really help our clients understand the buildings better and hopefully turn into capital projects for implementing energy efficiency measures. Participants who can get the full energy cost, these are the ones that fall below $8,000. Pre-approval is required, so you have to talk to us to make sure that your building qualifies for this before going ahead and do the project and applying after that. So it's always important. It's very important to know that you have to reach out to us before doing the audits, and then you go ahead and do the audits. The maximum audit amount for a housing provider is $40,000. So let's say you have so many buildings and you want to do audit in those. We cap it to a maximum of $40,000 to make sure that we have audits for multiple providers and multiple regions in Ontario. Next slide. So this, so we do provide multi-residential. Our program is for prescriptive measures, custom, and in-suite measures. So for the prescriptive measures, these are the ones that you get a fixed amount per the measure that you install. For example, makeup air units, you get up to $26,000. For the boilers, some boilers, as domestic hot water, you get $22,000. Mostly boilers, though, they do go through our custom programs. So those details, have to be discussed with us in terms of, depending on how efficient you are going to be based on the current status and future status. We'll explain next slide. And then there is in-suite energy heat recovery. And so there's that they get $250 per unit installed. So then we have custom projects. These could be any project that basically save gas. For example, I do a lot of boilers under this program. We also do makeup air units, insulation control projects, building automation systems, and VFDs that are typically installed on makeup air units. Maximum incentive, as mentioned, for this one is $200,000 or 50% of the retrofit cost itself. For these ones, typically we get the building condition, the gas usage equipment at the beginning of the projects, and also we analyze we have the gas consumption of the building in the system, and we run a simple building modeling to see, based on the measure that you are going to install, how much M³ gas you're going to have per year. And then depending on what incentive we have available, we'll be able to calculate the incentive based on the gas saved and as well as the incentive. For example, at the moment, our incentive for the boilers is $1 for M³ gas saved per year. It's 60 cents for makeup air units, but at the moment we have a limited time offer going on by the end of June for the makeup air units. So if you are interested to know more about our programs or the limited time offer that is going right now for the makeup air units, you can always reach out to myself for further information. Then we have free in-suite measures. At the moment, we have low flow shower heads. The intention is that you reduce the flow to less than 1.5 gallon per minute. The existing should be more than 2.5 gallon per minute to qualify for this program. These are installed for free, so you do not pay anything. Typically, we get 40% hot water consumption reduction. Then we have heat reflector panels. These are panels that are installed typically behind your radiators, but it could be installed under any heating equipment that you have in your suites to basically reflect the heat back to the building and make sure that it doesn't escape the building. These buildings are usually buildings that they don't have cladding, so there are no external insulation. Usually for those ones, if there's cladding, then you do not qualify for this one. Typically, we see 10% gas usage reduction for the whole building when they install these measures. And again, these are 100% free to the owners for the heat reflector panels, provided that you installed at least at 90% of the unit in that building. So here's a case study for a building that they installed a VFD on a makeup air unit. The size of the building is an average size building, 10 floors, 125 units. The incentive was $3,600. So as you see, based on the cost of the project and the incentive that you get, and plus the gas savings that you have per year, it's easily less than 2-year payback, which is a very decent project. For the makeup air units, usually we see a lot that they are replaced like by like. But let's say typically they are about 80% efficient, and what you're installing is 80%. The main difference is the VFD, because when you install VFD, then you're able to turn it down for certain hours per day, or completely shut it off sometimes. And that's where you'll be able to save gas. But in a lot of cases nowadays, the people also install condensing makeup air units that are about 90% efficient. That's where you will get incentives both for the VFD and also for the makeup air unit that you are installing. So here's another case, Peel Living. This was a 6-story building, 114 unit suite building, another average size building. They installed heat reflector panels free to the clients, and they were able to save about 13,000 M³ per year. And that turns into $3,900 per annual cost savings, which is pretty decent considering that they didn't have to do anything for the installation, and they didn't pay anything at all. Another case study, this is a relatively big building, 16th floor, 264 units, privately owned. They installed the heating and domestic hot water boilers. The project cost was $365,000. The gas saving in this case, because boilers are typically biggest gas consuming equipment in the building, the gas saving in this case was huge, about 200,000 M³ per year. And the cost saving was actually $60,000 for the year, and the incentive was actually very decent, $80,000. And the payback for this big project was less than 5 years, which is, again, another decent project considering the size of the capital investment. And this is a smaller one, Simcoe Housing. and they installed a domestic hot water, as a result of which they were able to save 20 to 40% gas reduction, which was about 4,200 M cubes per year, for an incentive of about $2,100 per year, $2,100 incentive. So that's it. This is at the end of our multi-residential program. For further details for the multi-residential program, you can directly reach to myself, as I look after. I'm one of the advisors who looks after that, and I know more details about that one. Saving by Design is managed by my coworkers, but I will be taking you through that program as well. So for this one, as mentioned, we have it. I'm going to be talking about affordable housing, but we also have it for the commercial and residential. Obviously, the savings for the affordable housing is more lucrative, as you see, more than double than the commercial. For that one, we have a minimum, which is 7%. So the way it works is that we compare it to the Ontario building code. So that's when we have it for both low-rise and multi-res. And the higher you go than the Ontario building code, the more incentive you'll get, up to a maximum of 120,000 incentives just for the construction phase. Now we have before the construction phase and after construction phase, the commissioning, some incentives for those ones that the client will also receive. So as mentioned, this program is for the new construction buildings. For this program, we provide free experts, technical support, full-day sessions, 100% free to the client, and they will take you through the sustainability, also energy efficiency and building science measures to see what measures you can put in place to improve the efficiency. You can also bring your own consultants to these sessions. These are full-day sessions that will pay up to $7,500 for those ones as well. As mentioned, financial incentives are dependent on how much energy efficiency you can achieve beyond the Ontario Building Code. The goal is to integrate energy efficient measures and practices into the housing design. So while you might do capital project for the existing buildings to improve the efficiency, for at the construction, we want to make sure that at the beginning and at the design phase, we design the buildings as efficient as possible. So for the eligibility for this program, while for the affordable housing, the existing affordable housing, we can look at whether you fall in the regions that are for the affordable housing, or we can look at your rental. These are the ones that are these are new construction. So obviously we cannot look at the rentals or anything. So there are some requirements, and the main requirements is that participant organizations must have received a public funding assistance for at least one affordable housing project at any time in the past or present. These could be federal or provincial programs, for example, Investment in Affordable Housing, IAH program, Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, Open Door Affordable Housing Program from City of Toronto. So you must meet this requirement. And the participant organization could be social housing providers, local housing corporations, charitable and non-for-profit groups, faith organizations, and also private housing sector. These buildings, they do not need to be all affordable housing. Even part of the building, just few floors could be for the affordable housing, and that can still go through our program. As mentioned, the most important thing is that to make sure that you get us involved in this project at the beginning, right before the design phase, because that's where we need to get in and make sure that you are going through our full-day sessions to make sure that you get the report and you are aware of the measures that you can put in. So how it works is that there are multiple steps. There is visioning session, there is full-day IDP workshops, there is the construction, obviously, and then there is commissioning. That I will take you through them in next slides. As you can see, there are incentives for each step. The biggest incentive amount is after the construction and the audit that we do. So at the visioning session, this is where we discuss the project requirements and the eligibility to make sure that we do qualify for our program. Also, we look at the project goals to make sure that your goals fit in our programs and to see what are the priorities of this projects. We also, the client also provides the preliminary information. These are the information that will be used for the IDP workshop, including the energy modeling, to make sure for the baseline energy modeling and also the efficient energy modeling. Then we have the IDP workshop itself. These are very interesting workshops. Actually, I am coming from one of them today. For these sessions, we provide Sustainable Building Canada host these buildings, this workshops. This is a free workshop. These are free workshops provided by Enbridge. As mentioned, you can also bring, the clients can also bring their own experts, the building science expert and energy efficiency, sustainability experts that we provide. That we also provide incentives for those up to a maximum of $7,500 during these workshops. We'll be going through the installation. We'll go through the energy modeling. We have actually live energy modeling. There's an energy modeling that's done in advance, but we can also manipulate the energy modeling criteria and measures to see how much more impacts we'll get by changing some of the variables and see how much more efficient we can get. Then we discuss the strategies, saving energy, the strategies and savings that we can get from various measures for the construction as well. So the financial incentive for this project at the technical, we have $7,500 for the IDP workshop toward the experts that you will provide for these workshops. So basically, these workshops are 100% free to the clients. Then we have the energy performance incentive. This is post-construction, and that's where the real incentive is. Depending on how efficient you are, a minimum is 7%. So below 7% efficiency, more efficient than the Ontario Building Code, and the client does not receive anything. Between 7 to 12%, you get $750 per unit. Then you have between 12 to 17 and more than 17%, which is the maximum. And anything more than 17%, you'll get the maximum incentive up to $120,000 incentive, and that is $1,000 per unit. At this stage, at the post-construction, we look at the as-built energy model as opposed to the projected energy model. So we look at the what measures you decide to put in place for the building, and based on the as-built drawings, we'll be able to project the energy savings. Then we have the commissioning incentive itself. The commissioning incentive, this is beyond just the measures that you put in, and it goes to the operations. So how you're going to operate the building, for example, the temperature set points, the VFD controls, and the maximum incentive is $15,000 for this step. So we'll go through a couple of case studies. This is a Woodbridge Lane building that went through our program. And as a result of the energy efficiency measures that they put in place, they were able to achieve 25.5% better energy efficiency than OBC. This is their general energy consumption, including electricity and gas. The projected annual gas savings is 28%. Some of the design options that were discussed during the IDP workshops were lighting design, carbon monoxide sensors, condensing gas boilers 95%, and VFDs, installations, low flow shower heads, and so on. The projected annual gas savings for this project was actually $51,000 per year. Then we have the Youth Service Hub. They were able to achieve 23% better energy efficiency than Ontario Building Code. The projected annual gas savings for this project was 30.8% in their gas consumption. And the projected annual greenhouse gas reduction was about 28%. Some of the design options that were discussed were installation of ERVs, energy recovery ventilators, and installing variable speed pumps, and two-way valves on the hot and chilled water loop serving the 4-pipe fan coils. Then they had the advanced framing and improved wall insulation, triple glazed windows, as well as the condensing boilers and the space heating, which is always good and has the highest energy efficiency measures. Okay, and last but not least is the home winterproofing, which is for the single family homes. So these are free programs for qualifying homeowners, and this is for income qualified applicants living in a single family home, including detached, semis, or even row housing. Some community-based organizations are contracted to deliver these programs, and the goal is to reduce energy, lower energy bills, and improve the comfort for the residents. The program benefits are really, as mentioned, are the increased home comfort, better temperature control and regulating, healthier conditions, lower energy bills, and fewer drafts. For these programs, we do a pre-audit and a post-audit. So we'll send our experts to do an audit for the homeowner. Then, based on the measures, based on what could be done, we'll have contractors that will come to your place and install these, and then we'll have an after installation energy audit. That during that one we do also blower door testing. Some of the measures that could be installed are attic and wall and basement insulation, draft proofing, weather stripping, air sealing, shower heads, carbon monoxide detectors, and also free smart thermostat, which I'll be talking about them. So for any of our programs, really not just this one, to be qualified for this program, you have to be your home must be heated with natural gas. You have to be an Enbridge gas customer, and obviously pay your bills. So obviously, in social and as mentioned, social and assisted housing, they're automatically eligible for our program without any documentation. And then we have free smart thermostat that we do provide for social housing. And the installation is very easy. And after the installation of the thermostat, we'll take the residents through the guideline how to use them and how to get the most efficiency out of them. So that's it, short and sweet and concise. Really, our programs are not really that complicated, and the reason for that is to make sure that there is not much work done by the client and homeowners. So as for myself, I look after the multi-residential affordable housing. What we do for that sector is we really just ask you to give us the what are your existing gas using equipment and what you're going to install, and we'll take care of everything else. We'll determine how much energy saving you're going to get from that, how much incentive you'll be receiving. Then if you decide to go ahead, all you have to do is just sign an application with us, and you go ahead and install, you do your capital costs, and after that, you'll see the picture of the installer coming. We used to visit and to check these buildings. Now during COVID, we had to adjust like all other sectors or anybody. The COVID has impacted a lot. So we'll just we receive photos of the installed measures, and that's really enough. And then the invoice of the installation plus the equipment, and that's pretty much it. So then it goes through an internal technical review and documentation review, and then you receive the check. So as mentioned, these programs, we have multiple advisors. I myself look at the multi-residential together with another co-workers of mine, Jeff Blunt. And then we have for Saving by Design, we have Natalie Armstrong, and for Home Winterproofing, Jessica Newman. And depending on where in Ontario you're located, we have our other co-worker, Ed Spitzma, that will be helping you with this program. So you can always reach out to myself, and I will be more than happy to help and guide you toward the right direction. So with that, I will turn it back to Jacob for questions, I believe.
Yes, thanks, Michael. That was a very informative presentation. I'm sure it's very helpful for everybody listening. So to everybody in the audience, if you have any comments or questions, we've already had a few come in. If you haven't entered yours, please enter them through the Q&A function on the webinar control panel. So to begin, Michael, the first question we have is, are these incentives stackable with programs like FCM Sustainable Affordable Housing offer?
Yeah, we do provide these incentives separate from the other offers. So these are independent.
Okay, great, thanks. Next question. Do we need to require or channel the application to this program from the prime consultant?
It could be either way. We work with the owners as well as the consultants. Usually consultants, they might have more information regarding what you have in the building. So either way, it doesn't really matter as long as the application is signed by the owners themselves.
Great, thank you. Next question, is this applicable in British Columbia?
For now, we're offering this in Ontario, and you might have separate programs in British Columbia. I'm not aware of those. So I will encourage you to look at your utility there, because I know that all across North America utilities have these programs. So I'll recommend you to look at the what your utility has to offer in British Columbia.
Great, thank you. Are housing cooperatives eligible, and what about those that are aiming to be net zero off grid?
So the housing was it a housing corporation?
Sorry, just a second. Pull the question up again. Housing cooperatives, are they eligible?
Yes, they are eligible. They do automatically qualify. And the question was about off the grid. So really the intention of our program is to help reduce gas consumption, but you have to still stay on gas. So you have to be a gas user and you have to stay on gas. So for example, we do not provide incentive for the fuel change from going to gas to electricity, if that's the question.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Next question. Would a multi-residential apartment currently under construction and being built to a passive house standard be eligible for consideration under the Savings by Design program?
They would not qualify for the Saving by Design program because, as mentioned, the Saving by Design program is for the buildings that they are at the design stage. So we have to get involved from the very beginning to make sure that we provide design measures. We'll help you with the design, and provide energy efficient measures. However, you do qualify for multi-residential buildings, which I am one of the advisors that can help you with that. So I will encourage you to reach out to myself. You can probably see my email on the screen as well as my phone number. I'll be happy to discuss further details with you. And in this case, what I'll probably be doing is we'll look at your energy modeling to see how much more efficient you have become, and then the incentives for that one is also, I've done a couple of them and are still pretty good.
All right, thanks, Michael. Next question. Can you apply for the multi-residential support for new boilers, for example, and then apply to the design phase?
Can you please repeat the question?
Can you apply for the multi-residential support for new boilers, B-I-O-L-E-R-S? That might be a typo, I'm not sure. For example,
it's boilers, probably, yeah.
Yeah, boilers. There you go. So you're in the right mindset for this. So can you apply for the multi-residential support for new boilers, for example, and then apply to the design phase?
If this is for new construction, the design phase, that's what you mean. That's what we typically recommend, to go with the highest efficiency and condensing boilers at the design phase anyway. So the answer is yes, you can basically, if I got the question right.
Right, thanks. And we have one more question to everybody in the audience. If you have any more questions, please enter them now. So last question we currently have, do all new capital projects have to use gas as heating system to be eligible?
Yes, you have to have, at this point, you have to use gas heating to be eligible for this. Now, We have a new program coming into place next year where, as you know, Enbridge and Union Gas were two separate companies, but then Enbridge acquired Union Gas. And now we have, while we're all sent one company under Enbridge, we have different programs for the legacy Enbridge and legacy Union. Starting next year, they will be all harmonized into one programs for the whole Ontario. So the incentive amounts might change for next year and some of the conditions. But at this point, you definitely have to stay on gas to be eligible for this program.
Thanks, Michael. While you were answering that, another question came in. What is the income limit for the home winterproofing program?
I am not aware of that, as I do not look after that one, but you can certainly find more information on our website, or again, reach out to myself and I will connect you with our home winterproofing experts. Well, they will be able to discuss further details with you.
Great, thank you, Michael. No more questions are currently in the Q&A function. Oh, one more just came in, perfect timing. Can you provide
Awesome.
more? Yeah, can you provide more information on the limited time offer you have for the multi-residential program?
So at this point, we have a limited time offer for the makeup air units, where the incentive that we provide is double the amount that we usually provide. So typically it's 60 cents per M3 saved per year. At this point is twice that. So to be eligible for this limited time offer, you have to apply for this and sign the application by the end of June. And you have to install the makeup air units by end of October. So as long as you sign the application, you know it's going ahead, you sign the application with us by the end of June, you have a lot of time to install it for the rest of the year, as long as it's done it's finished by October.
Great, thank you, Michael. So we currently don't have any more questions. So I guess on that note, we will wrap up today's session. Many thanks from all of us at CHRA to our audience for participating, and to Michael for the informative presentation. We will be sending a follow. Yeah, we will. Oh, another question came in. I guess we'll. Oh, it just says thanks for this. Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you all.
Just in the coming days, just so everybody knows, we're going to be sending an email with a post-webinar survey to get your feedback, and we're also going to be sharing a copy of the slide deck. On that note, everybody, take care and stay safe.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jacob, and thank you very much, everyone, for participating. Have a great day.
Bye.